What is going on, guys? What is going on? This is your man, Real Deal, Steele, coming to you live this Friday night. Feeling all right, out of sight, looking good, guys, looking good. If I could ask you to just smash that like button before we continue, it's the number one thing you can do to help an emerging channel like this reach through those tricky YouTube algorithms, get more eyeballs on this, get more people engaged. Also, if you are new here, you are watching Steele Live. I am Steele. We've got what I would say to be, honestly, in my opinion, I'm a little biased, mind you, the best community in all of crypto-centric communities. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit all on that notification bell. We've got an awesome, fun, eccentric community. We'd love to have you be a part of it. And lastly, if you feel compelled to super chat anywhere throughout this broadcast, it's obviously very appreciated for all the time and efforts put forth. And membership, if you're interested in membership's as low as $4 a month. And you can become a member simply by clicking on the link pinned at the top of the chat. And what that does in return is that unlocks all the members only features, like after hour sets. I do special members only live streams where I share deeper dives and further information and behind the scenes stuff and just extra fun and goofiness as well. And then, etc. So without any further ado, I would like to bring on a lady that's needing little to no introduction in these parts lately, hailing all the way from Sydney, Australia. It's my co-hostess with the mostest, the one and only Sadaf Jadran. Sadaf, how you feeling?
Good afternoon. These introductions are getting better every time. Well,
thank you. Yeah, we're just, I think you and I are just kind of making it a little bit smoother each and every time. Are you still eating oranges?
No, I'm done.
Very good, very good. Well, what is your favorite fruit, by the way, Sadaf?
Mangoes. Mangoes
Ooh.
And lychees.
And what was the second one?
Lychees.
Oh, lychees. Yes. Ooh, those are some very interesting, provocative choices there. I really like lychee as well. I really like a really good, juicy, ruby red grapefruit with a little bit of honey on it. You ever do that?
No, I only ever put grapefruit like in a juice.
Oh, really? Oh, I love slicing it up in the individual triangles with some raw honey on there. And I like anything that's kind of sweet and salty, and I guess that would kind of make sense with grapefruit, because grapefruit's kind of sour, tangy, but sweet too. So yeah.
I've heard that in Mauritius, lychees are about the size of a tennis ball.
Ooh, Mauritius. Now I don't know if I've never had a Mauritius.
Isn't it? I'm pretty cool. Let me Google it. I had a friend from there. No, yeah, it's called Mauritius. It's a country in East Africa.
Oh, okay. It's a place. I thought it was a fruit that you were speaking about.
No, in that country, apparently the lychee trees produce lychees as big as tennis balls. But I guess we're never going to find that out since we can't travel, so...
Yeah, and who knows if we'll ever be able to again. Me, you in the chat. So, welcome, Swift Pilot, Joshua, Scott Herforth, of course, Alan Schneider, Zombie Doge Army, welcome back, Captain Jack, and so many others. Swift Pilot, Ramon, Hector the Dude, Dylan Madougal, Rough, Moondoge Landing, I like that one. Who else? Golden Greaser. And Jack and Charbel, welcome Charbel, John Woods, and the list goes on. Wildin' Out, of course, RW, grapefruit with confectionery sugar for me. Yeah, see, someone else is kind of feeling what I'm putting down there. So enough fruit talk. I guess we'll just kind of run through the news of the day and stories of the day, and I don't know, wherever else it takes us. You know how we do it. So I didn't get it. This isn't a brand new story, but I hadn't had a chance to cover it yet. It's about 2 days old. And this comes courtesy of Cointelegraph. Doge cost averaging. Robinhood rolls out fee-free reoccurring crypto buy feature. Retail crypto traders on Robinhood can now set up commission-free reoccurring investments in multiple crypto assets on a daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. Retail trading platform Robinhood has rolled out new cryptocurrency investment feature for users who want the dollar average cost average into a coin, given Dogecoin accounts for, and this is just this statistic still astounds me, even though we've known it for since their last quarterly earnings report came out. Given Dogecoin accounts for 62% of Robinhood's crypto service revenue, the move could result in a steady stream of small buyers for the meme coin. I could get more elaborately into this, but I don't see the point. What I will say is, anyone that listens to me knows I'm not the biggest fan of Robinhood. I still hold some positions there, but I'm not putting more money into Robinhood personally. I predominantly use Voyager and Coinbase for platforms. Other than that, I do think this is a great positive move for those who still do trading in Robinhood, and I think it's good for cryptocurrency. I think it's actually a pretty decent investment strategy too for folks who are pretty solid in their select long-term investment coins to set up kind of weekly deposits, monthly deposits, whether that's Bitcoin or Doge or ADA or XRP, etc., Ethereum. I think this can be a really good investment strategy if people do it smartly. What do you say, Sadaf?
Yeah, we spoke about this yesterday. I think it's for people that are new or for people that don't understand or they're not, professional traders. It's literally the only way to be on par with professional traders, and with very little risk. So all you're doing is you're just DCAing into particularly your hold bags. So your long-term holds, you just constantly bring the price of your average down, and eventually you'll see the benefit.
Right. And for those of you who aren't familiar, just for people that are more beginners, DCA stands for dollar cost averaging, which is basically a strategy wherein the investor invests a total sum of money in small paced increments instead of all at once. So let's see here. Coinbase or go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Even if the other way it works is if you did buy something at the top, so at an all-time high because you felt FOMO when you jumped in, then what you do is at every dip you continue to buy increments to bring that average down.
Yeah, I think this is a great investment strategy. I think it's one of the more sound things you can do, albeit stocks or crypto. So I think this is a really one of the better features, one of the better things that Robinhood's done in a while. And I'm surprised that more trading platforms don't offer it, frankly. I would think that this should be, in my opinion, just kind of one of those staple features. And obviously one that would be more advantageous to the trading platforms. It just seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
Like literally giving your customers the option to just automatically put money into your platform week after week, month after month, just seems like a no-brainer. Sydney,
subscription-based.
What's that?
Sorry, subscription-based anything is the moneymaker. So although they do provide a benefit to the customer by automating something, the real benefit is for them because it's guaranteed income flowing.
Yeah, it's more consistent as well. Yeah. Next story here. This comes courtesy of Benzinga. Dogecoin to continue higher until it hits a wall. According to recent FX Street chart analysis, Dogecoin's price rebounded after dipping two high demand zones at 25 and 28 cents, touching a low of just over 21, trading over just 25 cents. This publication Thursday. Now, after its recovery started, Dogecoin's price is expected to stay above both demand zones, above 25 cents, possibly ride the momentum higher until it hits a wall located at 30 cents. If this resistance was broken, the next one's located at 35. Also, here's a second scenario that's possible according to FX Street. If positive momentum dries up soon, Dogecoin's price is expected to fall until it hits a resistance located at 23 cents and possibly all the way down to 21 cents. If those resistances are broken, Dogecoin's proponents could see their coins crash and be worth just under 20 cents or even closing as low as 16 cents. Closing daily candle below 23 would result in bullish sentiment being invalidated. My take on this, guys, I think it's probably going to be somewhere in between. I think it's highly improbable that we're going to see Dogecoin crash all the way down to the likes of 15, 16 cents this month. I know this is Red September, but everything and all the charting I'm looking at and that I've discussed with Nick Balls, whose technical analysis, particularly in regards to Dogecoin, is even much keener than mine. It is shaping up to be more of a traditional red September, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near down 15, 16 cents. Now, I could see things, hiking down to, the lower 20s and that end of things. But even in that, I would say the probability of it going down to 19, 20 cents is, I'd say it's kind of a 50-50 from what I'm seeing there. But for it to go much lower than that, I would say put in the more highly improbable category. Now, guys, this is great advice for everybody investing. By the way, Golden Greaser, thank you for starting things off. I love it. Thank you for that Shiba Inu. What would that be? What type of fighting style would you describe that as, Sadaf? Kung Fu fighting? I don't know if you can see the chat up on your screen there, but I was just asking. There's a super sticker on the screen with a Kung Fu fighting Shiba Inu. I don't know if you'd call that Kung Fu or karate.
Looks like it's wearing a
Japanese, right?
Yeah.
So Japanese would most likely be. I don't know.
Sumo, isn't it?
What's that? Kung Fu?
Wouldn't it be sumo wrestling?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, if you're going by what's most popularized in Japan, but that Shiba Inu would have to eat a lot more Doge burgers to be qualified and successful in that field. Anyway, Golden Greaser, we could talk about this super sticker all day, couldn't we? I mean, I really could. That thing's so freaking cute. Thank you so much for kicking things off, Mr. Greaser. So as I was saying, Sadaf, it's really also an important reminder, especially for people new to the space, anyone that's been investing in this stuff a year or less. You can really get caught up like in the day-to-day charting and really work yourself up in a tizzy whenever there's some retracement or when the market pulls back. And then you look at your top two coins or even your top coin where the bulk of your investment capital is tied up in. And when it's not doing well, you think it's the end of the world. But then when you start to look at what the rest of the market is doing, what Bitcoin's doing, etc., then you quickly realize 9 times out of 10, if you're investing in one of the top coins, it's what's going on is not unique to your coin. It's something that's happening. Yeah. Something that's happening market wide. Love it or hate it, we are still living in an era of Bitcoin dominance, and that's going to continue for a little while. So if Bitcoin's not doing the best, your coin's probably not going to be doing the best, and it's not the end of the world. Again, when you zoom out and you look at the overall trajectory of Bitcoin, let's say over the last 5 years, and you look at the overall trajectory of most cryptos, evolution, the ones with utility anyway, over the last 5 years, it's very, very encouraging. I mean, you've been an XRP investor for how long, Sadaf?
2017, XRP and Ethereum.
Yeah, XRP and Ethereum since 2017. And that is old school by crypto standards because things just move so quickly here. So, just having the patience and just watching things grow. I'm sure you're very thankful for the decisions your 2017 self made, right?
Yeah, 100%. Look, Ethereum back then was $190, so Australian. But in saying that, I think it was much easier back then because like for me, it was almost like whatever, I'm putting money into this scam and I'm not going to check up on it regularly. And it was so much easier to have the patience and just wait. And that's why I didn't revisit it for a very long time. But I think what happens now is because people have seen the bubbles and, you know, the money that you can make, they'll make an investment and then continue to check every single minute to see why it's not, you know, why it's not doing as well as they were told it was going to almost immediately. So I think the level of patience now has decreased astronomically.
And it's both like a good and a bad thing, right? I mean, having tons of new investors is awesome, but it also can be a bit annoying when you get to a certain segment of the market just in perpetual freak out from, you know, week to week, day to day. It's just kind of like, you know, but that's why folks like us are out there, just kind of be more reassuring, level-headed voices, and just let people know it's a higher probability that it's not the end of the world. To zoom out and look at the overall trajectory of cryptocurrency in general over the last 7 years or so, and you will see a trajectory that's extremely favorable, that with margins and gains never seen before in any markets, certainly surpassing most anything you'll get out of stocks. So,
yeah. I also realize that the level of desperation now, given some of the things that are going on in the world, is kind of also what's amplifying it. So, because I read a lot of comments on Twitter mainly, that's just about, I've put X amount in crypto and I can't wait to leave my job and just do my own thing. And everyone's looking for that freedom, but they want it to happen almost immediately. Chances are, you know, people who are investing for, you know, the upcoming next leg, you're going to make a lot of money. But the reality is, if you want to make the life-changing money, it's probably going to be the next cycle. So we need to exercise patience. Yeah,
to say the least. And, you know, it's even with crypto, I mean, people look at it and think it's an easy way to get rich. It can be at moments and times if you're very, very sharp and keen about it, but it's still
an easy way to get poor as well.
It's the easy way to get poor, right? Yeah, it's one of those things where, in my opinion, from everything I've observed, particularly in crypto is people's greatest enemy is their own impatience. Do you have any thoughts on that?
100%. If you don't have that, there's a lot of things that you're not going to succeed in life. It just needs to. You really need to constantly remind yourself why it's important. Like, if that was the case, we'd all be millionaires, right? And it's not just in crypto; it's in everything. Any kind of goal that you set for yourself, you need to have that patience to achieve the outcome, rather.
Yeah, super well stated, Sadaf. Abstractus Artemis says he's spending time with the wife because she's been feeling neglected, and says, I spend too much time with Steven Steele. Oh no. Oh no, Abstractus. Well, hopefully you can make her a fan, and then you can both enjoy the program together. And right now, if she's listening to my voice in the background, she's probably shaking her head and said, I don't have interest in sitting down, listening to this stuff. Won't you just let me spend time with my husband, Abstractus Artemis? Don't you dare take him away from me with your wacky program. Good luck, man. I don't want to get you in the doghouse, but I appreciate you swinging by. You got to do what you got to do. Happy wife, happy life. Next story through The Verge. This one is not a news story, but it keeps coming up again and again. The media is just absolutely fascinated with it, and actually for a good reason this time, because it's just incredible. They had a bit of different spin on and a few different nuances and details they added to the story. Most of you who are familiar with the NFT space in any capacity are going to be familiar with the Bored Ape Yacht Club line. So just to be clear, a bunch of Bored Ape NFTs had just sold. Actually, I will correct myself. This is a brand new story because I was confusing it with another Bored Ape Yacht Club story from a couple days ago, in which one extra rare Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT sold for about $2.25 million through Sotheby's. Now, a bundle of 6 Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs sold for, get ready, sold for $24.4 million at this auction. If you thought NFT mania was about to die off, think again. A bundle of 101 NFTs from Bored Ape Yacht Club just sold at Sotheby's for $24.4 million. A second bundle of 101 Bored Ape Kennel Club NFTs sold for $1.8 million. That puts the ape sale among the biggest NFT in the space. A bundle of 9 CryptoPunks, one of the earliest NFT projects, sold for $17 million in May. And Beeple, of course, sold a collage of his works as an NFT for $69 million in March. Well, it's hard to directly compare all these sales. The purchases show the appetite for that NFT art is not dying down. It suggests that buyers think there will be a high resale value as the market continues to grow. The two of Sotheby's today come from Yuga Labs and creator of Bored Ape Yacht Club, who launched in April. The initial collection contained 10,000 apes, semi-randomly generated in unique arrangements of sailor hats, eye patches, bone necklaces, stud earrings, and other accessories to dress them up, etc., etc. You know, Sadaf, the first thing that crosses my mind, and I say this as someone who's very bullish on NFTs in general and the future of them. I don't know if I would like to be caught with the bag of investing $24.4 million on a bundle of 6 Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. I mean, I think that there's a fair probability that the value of these might be at the top right now. What do you say? Do you see anyone topping that in the future? I mean, do you see anyone spending $40 million on that bundle or $50 million on that bundle?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do. I think we're so early in that space. And look, there are a lot of things that go on there. There's a lot of they're not conspiracies, but it's just I think the way people are using NFTs to do particular things with money. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see like massive increases across, you know, a lot of these things. So yeah, I think it's so early, but like I've always said, you just have to remember that we look at you know, a purchase like this and we're like, oh my god, someone spent 100 Ethereum on a particular NFT, right? Because we're looking at the value of Ethereum right now, but you have to remember that people didn't just get into like Ethereum, right? There are people who've been holding hundreds of thousands of them since, you know, 2014, 17, and to them it's not that big a deal. So I think that's what people forget.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that there's a whole class of people out there wherein $25 million isn't as crazy of amount of money to them. You know, it's kind of like
like it's the same as Bitcoin, right? Like there's people that bought, you know, 1,000 Bitcoin back when it first, you know, in 2009, and let's say they held it, and if they're just gonna, you know, throw 100 Bitcoin on something, it's because they probably got in very, very early.
Right. Josh Randell disavows. Thank you for the generous super chat, Josh, and great to see you. $20. I know this is going to be a good one. Josh says, I'm with child. Sadaf is the father? I realize this is super personal, but it must be shared. Good to see everyone. Thanks for delivering that incredible news, Josh. I really hope that the pregnancy goes smoothly for you. and I hope you are able to satiate all those wild food cravings you're probably going through, and we're here for you, Josh. Sound God says Steven Steele should do Western movies. I'm all about it. I am a tremendous, huge fan of classic spaghetti westerns, Western movies, country, all that stuff. Classic westerns. I love that stuff. And I think there's been some good examples of some newer ones too. 310 to Yuma, that came out about 7 or 8 years ago. I thought that was really well done with Russell Crowe, and I thought Tombstone was rather pretty good as well. But I'm mostly a huge fan of the classic spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood and that whole era in the late 60s, mid-late 60s. And they're just badass. They're just badass. They're man's man movies, which are harder and harder to come by these days. Next story. This also related to NFTs. We'll just keep going with the NFT section for now. This was really cool, in my opinion. So Karl Lagerfeld launches his first NFT collectible. Do you know who Karl Lagerfeld is? The fashion designer icon, Sadaf?
Who's that, sorry?
He's a fashion design, a big fashion design icon. Anyway, he's about, I'd say he's in his 70s now, but he launched a debut of a limited NFT collection on the fashion digital platform that materialized. The NFT collection pays homage to the iconic designer and on his birthday, and features an animated character of the unmistakable silhouette of the late Karl. Oh yeah, he died 2 years ago. My apologies. Oh my gosh, Karl Lagerfeld. Yeah, that was about 2 years ago now, I think. Yeah, the digital figurines are exclusive and are inspired by the designer's famous quote. This is a great quote. I've heard this before, by the way. I am like a caricature of myself, and I like it that way. The NFT is a playful nod to the statement, as seen as a virtual extension of the brand's playful, iconic collection, with 7 being Lagerfeld's lucky number. The first version of it being starting at $90. Looks like they sold out all right away, but it's really quirky. It's really cool. I think this is gonna be anyone that was lucky enough to get in on that first minting at very affordable prices to that. I think they're going to see tremendous margins on that collection. I've always been a fan of that guy. When he was around, he's just this older, super eccentric gentleman, and I thought his fashion design templates were just very classic with a dash of eccentricity. Really tastefully done. Josh says, no big, I've had 1 trillion babies. That's a lot. Dylan McDougal, what ADA do you wait? Idealson? Ideally, maybe what you mean. What ADA will do tomorrow, even with the market down, Steven Steele? I don't think it's going to do anything terribly remarkable. Let me take a look. Let me pull up the charting on ADA and see if I can give you a quick kind of synopsis. Well, it was down about 6% over the last 24 hours, down a little bit over 18% over the last week, but still up about 41% over the last month. So still incredibly bullish, despite recent retracements for ADA. I don't think ADA is going to do anything terribly remarkable tomorrow. I think it's just going to continue to be somewhat bearish along with the rest of the market. Okay, next story here. This comes courtesy of Bitcoin Magazine. We talked a bit about this last night. El Salvador's historical adoption of Bitcoin could send it past $100,000 per. One of the most important events in the history of Bitcoin is taking place, with the nation making Bitcoin legal tender. It's been a whirlwind week in Bitcoin as El Salvador officially started accepting Bitcoins as legal tender, giving citizens $30 worth of Bitcoin each and paving the way for further adoption around the globe. Global behemoths like McDonald's and Starbucks started accepting Bitcoin in the country. Who knows? Maybe they'll start doing the same elsewhere in the near future. Of course, all was not well this week, despite being what can only be considered a historic week for Bitcoin. On the same day, El Salvadorians queued to receive their Bitcoin and start to receive it across the country. Bitcoin saw a dramatic tumble, which many consider coordinated effort to undermine the currency. Here's what happened in the week of Bitcoin. Speaking of which, as I read these opening paragraphs of this story, several questions are really just popping out at me for discussion. Number one, I hope the society there has done enough education on Bitcoin so that the people and the citizens of El Salvador, if at all possible, they do not spend their $30 worth of Bitcoin. Please, for the love of God, if you don't have to spend that $30 of Bitcoin, do not spend it. Just forget about it, as the Italians say. Leave it in there for the next 10 frickin' years. Honestly, what do you say, Sadaf?
Yeah. I mean, if it's $30, you can do without $30.
Yeah. What's the point? At that point, I mean, obviously what the government's trying to do is give people investments for the future. Blowing $30 of Bitcoin, which you can make, it might take a couple days work in El Salvador, given an exchange rate, but even at that, it's not worth it. Hold on to it. Hold on to it for a long time. Just forget about it. Second thing that pops out of me here is this. Many consider this to be the dramatic tumble of Bitcoin to be a coordinated effort to undermine itself. Do you have any thoughts on that, Sadaf? That this has been a coordinated effort of some sort, the most recent tumble of Bitcoin?
We never rule out manipulation, and I wouldn't be surprised considering he publicly announced that they bought the dip, so it could have been. Yeah,
it could have been, and something that's always very interesting, right? When we see, now, El Salvador is not one of these governments that I'm talking about. They were doing actually a miraculous job embracing cryptocurrency, but we have many other governments that are sowing a lot of sensationalized fear and propaganda against cryptocurrency, all the way from here in the United States, of course, to over to Sweden. Sweden's SEC chairman is now blasting cryptocurrency as a total waste of money, and kind of makes a clumsy analogy to compare it to trading cards or something or the other. And then, so we're seeing, but the interesting thing is, despite all this going on, my point is, it's so interesting to see people that are way more connected and wealthy than any of us here continuously buying the dips, right? Why are these people continuously buying the dips? And what's even more interesting is some of the same people buying the dips are the same people that are telling you that Bitcoin's a terrible investment. They're telling you that there's no real future in cryptocurrency, but behind closed doors, they are buying these dips big time. So what does that tell you? Are those the actions? Are those the actions of people that truly believe that digital currency doesn't have a vibrant future? No. These are the actions of people spreading FUD to us plebs to increase their future success and bottom line. What do you say, Sadaf?
Yeah, 100%. You know what the sad part of all of this was? A lot of people who had the courage to invest in crypto, say around 2018 after the crash, and held it strong for the next 2 years, anticipating the upcoming bull market. When, COVID-19 hit, they all freaked out. And obviously because of the uncertainty and the ambiguity, people thought, well, I'm better off just taking, the 10,000 or the 20,000 I've invested and I'll look after my family with it, for example. And they missed out just before that first leg up we had, where people made some, life-changing money. So these things, I think that's why it's so important to invest what you can not just afford to lose, but what you can live without as well, until it finds its true value, because you miss out on so much. And the amount of people that have told me they sold just before January 21, for example, it's so sad. But but this is how not everyone is rich, right? That's how you keep the balance.
Yeah, and that opens up a whole nother topic of a discussion, doesn't it? Because what you say there is, in my opinion, alluding to something quite insightful, where when you say that not everybody's rich and that's how you maintain a balance, it is my belief, and this is probably one of the more heavy-handed things you'll ever hear me express in this program in terms of my personal economic outlook, that capitalism is just riddled with flaws and shortcomings. That being said, it is still, in my opinion, the most vibrant, reasonable path forward for most states of the union in this world. And it's unfortunate that there has to be losers. But when we look at the alternatives, and particularly the history of these alternatives, we see a history filled with much more disastrous results than what we see under capitalism. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm with you. I do agree.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate because there are going to be losers no matter what. And I remember when one of the founders of Dogecoin, who's since left cryptocurrency many years ago, Jackson Palmer, he recently, not super recently, but a couple months, he came out with a series of tweets just slamming cryptocurrency, essentially slamming Dogecoin to a degree, and saying that it was all kind of a rigged system, it's evolved into a malicious tool of capitalistic oppression, blah blah blah. You know, he's free to feel that way, and I have a lot of respect for what Jackson Palmer helped create, along with Billy Marcus, of course, who's still very much engaged in crypto and the community, and he's a very animated, fun guy. And but I do respectively disagree with Jackson Palmer's conclusions in that regard. It's kind of a catch-22, because under the premise of capitalism, you're going to have people that lose, right? You're going to have people that aren't going to do as good as other people. But it's just, we haven't been able to template any other form of government that still offers the most upsides to the most people than that. Now, people can have reasonable discussions, in my opinion, and have different varying opinions on how much government-funded programs and things should be included and taken up through people's collective tax dollars. I think those are all perfectly reasonable discussions for people to have of varying opinions, universal health care or not, these kinds of things. I think these are all perfectly logical. I've met people of varying opinions on such things that I consider fairly reasonable across the board. But to go of the way of trying to rig the economy to ensure the same results for everyone, despite the level of work put forth, essentially, I think you're really, when you start doing stuff like that, you really start killing the spirit of a people, right? It really kind of demotivates, in my opinion, innovation and drive. When people know that the end results are essentially rigged, no matter how hard they hustle or innovate, or aspire, you know? So I don't know if you had anything else to add to that.
Look, the only thing I can add to that is in crypto, you see people saying it quite often. there is something that you do have control over, and that is patience. And we spoke about that earlier. And you see a lot of people telling you that basically it's the transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient, right? So eventually it'll pay off. But I think that's why it's so important to literally invest what you can do without, not what you can afford to lose. Don't look at it as a loss. Don't write it off the moment you invest. Something that you can live without, so that even in the event of, all these unforeseen circumstances, you can forget about that until it sees its true value, because I think that's the only way we can kind of evenly give everyone a chance. And that's totally up to you, right? Having that patience, because, even like this dip, for example, this correction, there's a lot of things, that people are discussing. And I think it's so important, yes, to preserve your capital. And you see a lot of people giving you advice on that. But the reality is, the majority of these people aren't traders. Majority of these people are just investors. And they log on to a platform as big as, Twitter, we're in the crypto space. And they're reading, it's blood, it's red, people will sell even if it's at like a 95% loss. And that's the alarming thing, right? You literally need to, if you're an investor, just invest it and forget about it.
Yeah, I think that's very sage advice there, and I think that's perfectly stated, frankly. So this article went on to mention that Ukraine had made headlines across the world when its parliament essentially passed a law legalizing Bitcoin through the whole country. So Ukrainians are now free to trade and own Bitcoin. I don't know how this sorts out for other cryptocurrencies, however, if they're allowed to trade other cryptocurrencies yet. But I think this is a very significant step forward. Of course, we've seen an explosion in governments embracing cryptocurrency throughout South America, which is great. But now we're seeing it hit different sectors of Europe where it hasn't been allowed before. And I think that's a very important step to really establishing mass adoption. We need parts of Western Europe on board just as much as we need South America on board. Josh Rendell disavows coming in at $10 super chat. Carrying Sadaf's baby has given me brutal nausea and hemorrhoids. Josh, I'm very sorry to hear that. It sounds like a heavy baby that you're carrying. I would suggest you do. I would suggest that you look up the movie. Let me see. I'm going to give you some very keen advice here. And you just have to bear with me while I find the name of this movie, because I think it's the first thing you should really do. So this movie is called Junior from 1994, okay? And starring in Junior is none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, the premise of the film, Josh, listen to me very carefully. It was marketed as a buddy sci-fi comedy, co-starring Danny DeVito, but I want you to take it very literally, because in the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character becomes pregnant. And he goes through 9 months of pregnancy, and it features such one-line zingers as "My Body, My Choice," with as being uttered by Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. And then Arnold goes through a lot of various sensitive emotions and food cravings that I think that you'll be able to find quite relatable. Now, I don't know if Arnold went through the level of intensive hemorrhoids that you are now experiencing. But what I would suggest to you, Josh, is to look up this movie, find a way to stream it or buy it on Amazon. And then I want you to get an extra large order of bonbons. And then I want you to have a bunch of Belgian waffles delivered to your house with extra butter and strawberries. And I just want you to just douse it all in vats of real maple syrup. And I want you to watch this movie. And if you feel like crying, just let it all out, Josh. Just let it all out.
Hey, speaking of movies, did you see that Matrix 4 is coming out?
The Matrix. Yeah, I heard about it. I just read a bit of a blurb about it, but that's about it. Are you looking forward to that?
Oh my God, are you serious? Like, Matrix was probably the only thing that made me pretend I was sick just to stay home from school, and I had it on repeat. I've got all 3 movies memorized. I'm such a big fan of Keanu Reeves. But yeah, I didn't expect a part 4, so it's really awkward. And the release date at the end of the year, which a lot of people are kind of waiting for. I don't know, some interesting announcements and the shift. It's all working out to be a very interesting release date.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Matrix maniac in the world compared to a lot of people that I know, but I do like the movies. And what's not to love about Keanu Reeves? He's one of the biggest stars in the world for a reason. He's just such a solid kind of class act gentleman, just a really solid, smart, diplomatic fellow, and an excellent actor. Totally, to me, the antithesis of Keanu Reeves is like Ben Affleck. I can't stand Ben Affleck as an actor. I think he's an awful actor and a very particularly annoying person, personally. And Keanu Reeves, to me, is the antithesis of Ben Affleck. He's an excellent actor. He's a groovy guy. Though, my first exposure to him was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as a young man. And there's always a part of me that has him typecast as that. However, that did start to change when I saw him in another one of my favorite movies. Actually, have you ever seen Bram Stoker's Dracula?
No, I actually haven't.
Excellent vampire movie from the early 90s as well. Just super well done, very intense and very well done. Keanu Reeves starred in that as one of the vampires. And if anyone has an inkling or a like for anything to do with vampire movies, I highly recommend Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think it's from 1993, right around there. Just wow. Incredible movie. But
you have to text that to me. So
I definitely will.
I have a lot of time on my hands at the moment. But you said typecast, and all I could think about, like, who's the first person that comes into your head when you hear the word typecast? And then I'll tell you what mine is.
Wait, the first person that comes to mind when you just say the word typecast?
Yeah, literally.
Tom Cruise.
Really? From what movie?
To me, like Mission Impossible. Like, I always just synonymize them with Mission Impossible. Though I am a huge fan of Risky Business. That movie is just incredible on so many levels when you watch it when you're older. But anyway, it was just the first thing. You asked what the first thing that popped in my mind. That's what it was. What comes to mind with you?
Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter dude.
Yes, of course, of course. That's a perfect quintessential example. That poor guy. I don't think he'll ever be able to break out of that.
Literally, I see one other thing. I think I saw him on a random show the other day. Some show where he was with the presenter, and they were looking up his family history. Like, he's gone to literally Z grade shit. But I feel so sorry for the guy. I wish people could give you a heads up on this stuff. Like, he was so big when all that came out, but after that, they tried so hard, and you could not unsee it. Like, he's like Harry Potter forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's both a blessing and the curse. I mean, it's set him up for life, but it's also kind of condemned him for life. Risky Business is one of my favorites. Yeah, the way Risky Business was marketed was really incredibly cheesy, but in the way it was presented and packaged but it's actually a very thoughtful, very nuanced. It's a very artistic film, actually. And it's a very artistic film that fooled people into thinking it was this big dumb Hollywood kind of like jock kind of movie, but it wasn't at all. It was like Tangerine Dream, who's this kind of instrumental electronic outfit, one of the first electronic bands ever, actually did the soundtrack for it. Have you ever seen Risky Business?
No, I haven't. That's why I'm just listening to this.
Okay. So it was one of Tom Cruise's first movies as a young man, and the whole premise of the film is he lives in an affluent suburb. Kama DeLuffy coming in with $2 super chat. Thank you, Kama DeLuffy. Appreciate it. Sadaf's hubby loves her new playlist. You guys are so funny, man. The tangents that you guys find yourselves on are just so ridiculous. Thank you, DeLuffy. Appreciate it, man. But his parents go out of town for a vacation for a week, and the first night that his parents are gone, this is like in the 80s, so he's going through like a newspaper or something, and he calls an escort, and he's probably about 17 years old in this movie, and he's very boyish, he's very nervous, and his voice is shaking. And the woman who plays the escort, her name eludes me at the moment, but just the kind of coming of age kind of vibes that it really captures is something pretty remarkable. But the woman who plays the escort comes over to his house in this affluent suburb, and she ends up being kind of like very sassy and kind of domineering personality, but also she's really smitten by him at the same time. They end up developing a actual like real relationship out of this, and it evolves into them essentially running a brothel out of his parents' home in the suburbs while they're on vacation.
Wow.
But it sounds quite ridiculous. I mean, and it is when you on paper, but the way it unfolds and with the nuance of the soundtrack and the nerves and everything else, I don't know. It's just a very, very cool film. Very cool film. She was pretty hot in the movie. Who was her name? Who was her name, you guys? Who was the main starlet in that film? Let me know. Next story. El Salvador's historical adoption could send Bitcoin well past $100,000. In a whirlwind week as Bitcoin, El Salvador officially started accepting Bitcoin as legal tender. Okay, I already read that part of it. Oh, this is this very similar intro as the last story that I read, but it's a different story. Bill Miller, a famed investor, heralded Bitcoin as an alternative in investing in gold, saying we are still very early in reference to investing in Bitcoin as potential value in the not so distant future. But that, of course, may have gone unnoticed by many, as Tuesday was full of more important, quote unquote, more important news. On Wednesday, Union Investments, a $500 billion dollar investment firm based in Germany, stated that they had a Bitcoin pilot program underway and that they would bring exposure to Bitcoin to its clients. Blockchain partnership, the Macquarie Group, $428 billion investment and leading investor in global renewable energy infrastructure, was also throwing a bunch of money into Bitcoin as well. This is a very wordy article. I don't care to indulge in it any further. But the bottom line is Sadaf. Bitcoin.
Yes.
Bitcoin, $100,000 by the end of year or early 2022. What do you say is the probability of that?
Look, we're all hoping for it to be on this side of the year, but I'm pretty certain it's gonna fall towards the start of next year. But also, in saying that, the thing is, yes, there's some incredible PA out there, and people have some awesome data from all these other cycles, and it's phenomenal the work that's being done, right? But the reality is there are so many things that can come out of nowhere. It's crypto. That's why it's volatile. That's why it's full of surprises. It can happen. But what bothers me is the people who are calling for 100K at the end of September. Like, just stop. But yeah, just, we saw what happened when Elon started tweeting about it, and the hype and the FOMO. But if we really want this to be done the right way, we need to let it have a very healthy progression. And yeah, this is all part of it. So I think, again, patience. Q4 and Q1 are meant to be some really cool times. So we just need to be patient.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty well stated. I would say that the probability of Bitcoin reaching 100K by end of year is a bit more improbable, I think. But I do think that I'm of the mind that 2022 is going to be where the real tremendous gains are going to be made compared to anything that's going to be happening by end of year. But I think...
The first thing... Yeah, sorry. I don't know why we're not focusing on the first hurdle, which is getting back to that all-time high. Like, we need to break that first.
Right. Yeah, the all-time high, it should be the first focus. Everyone's gotten so caught up in the $100,000 marker for Bitcoin, and it's kind of to the point of absurdity, really. Alan Schneider coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Alan. I think the most pressing question we have is, will Sadaf send Josh Doge for... Will Sadaf send Josh...
Me, Doge.
Yeah, I think he owes you ADA.
ADA and Doge. He's going to make me go viral.
He's going to make you go viral? Yeah, so...
He promised.
What's that?
Yeah, he promised me.
Promises. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't take that one to the bank, Alan, on getting monthly payments from Sadaf. Sadaf's bastard love child. But thank you for the donation, nevertheless. Next story here. Andrew Yang. Those of you who are in America are pretty familiar with Andrew Yang. He ran for president, the Democratic Party, under a bit of a different platform compared to the rest of his colleagues there. And he also ran for New York City mayor, didn't clinch that, and came fairly close, though. And there's certainly has a groundswell of support and people that like him. Anyway, this comes courtesy of Politico. Former presidential New York mayoral candidate Andrew Yang is set to launch a third party next month, according to two people familiar with the matter. Yang is expected to start the party in conjunction with the October 5th release of his new book, Forward: Notes on the Future of Our Democracy. It's not clear what the name of Yang's third party will be or how he plans to deploy it in 2022 or 24. Yang and his team did not respond to requests for comment. The book's publisher, Crown, did give some clues about the type of platform Yang may pursue. It writes that the book is an indictment of America's era of institutional failure and introduced to us the various priests of decline of America, including politicians whose incentives have become divorced from the people that they supposedly serve. The book is blurbed by business person Mark Cuban. A vitally important book, he called it. The New York Times, Kara Swisher, can there be any other political party in the U.S.? In Forward, Yang does not just give a laundry list of intractable problems. It shows how we can find solutions if we think of new ways to summon the courage to do so. Former business person Yang surprised many in the political world with his creative outsider campaign for both president and mayor, blah, blah, blah. Looks like someone's calling out for a super chat war. We'll see what happens here. But Alan Schneider kicking off with a $2 super chat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alan Schneider declares a super chat war. What are my thoughts on this? Well, I think overall this is a positive. I really do. Andrew Yang, out of all the folks that were running on that side of the aisle last election cycle, showed himself, in my opinion, to be a man of his own conviction, a likable guy, very likable guy. Definitely more of an innovative, outside of the box thinker. And not that I particularly always agree with Andrew Yang. I actually disagree with him personally on some fundamental economics. But he was actually a person that you just got the vibe that he was genuine, and he's really trying to be a solution finder. So given the current state of politics in America and the overwhelming kind of stagnant landscape and the state of being that we find ourselves in as far as polarization, I think I totally welcome Andrew Yang trying to reach across the aisles and attract independent voters and all different kinds of voters for what will probably be a unique platform where most people find things they agree with and disagree with, and just have to sort it out from there. But I'm all for it. I'm all for people looking at new, fresh perspectives, injecting new, fresh perspectives and strategies on things. Obviously, we're in dire need of it. So, yeah, I'm for it. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. I know he's taken definitely some flack for breaking out here and doing his own thing, but it doesn't really come as a surprise to me. And but I welcome it. I know that the New York Post here also wrote, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other pertinent information that wasn't the first article. Honestly, it's the same stuff. Have you ever heard of Andrew Yang, Sadaf?
I haven't, actually.
Okay. Yeah, he's like one of the quirkier, kind of like non-politician-y people that ran for the big office, then also ran for mayor of New York. And he's also distinctly very pro-cryptocurrency, very pro-crypto. And he ran on a very pro-crypto platform. And he pledged when he was running for mayor of New York to make it a Bitcoin hub of the world. And so, but somebody else won. So he's taken his efforts elsewhere. Zombie Doge Army matching Alan Schneider for the twin. It's on, Alan. It's on. Zombie Doge Army says. Scott Herford says the Sadaf effect. I think there is something to the Sadaf effect for sure. I didn't know burning heart emojis were available. Wow, I think I just learned something new. I didn't know. Where do those burning heart emojis come from? I'm scrolling through mine. I don't see them, Scott. You are a clever man. I think you imported those burning hearts from outside of the chat options. Sadaf, I'll get your Doge wallet out to people that matter. Give me another day. I'm communicating people at different time zones. Wow, Josh. Miles G's investments birthday was 24 hours. We'll see what happens. That sounds good, Josh. Thank you. Yeah, Dylan, thank you for reminding me. Miles G's investments birthday is today. Well, not technically, it probably in my time zone ended a few minutes ago, but nevertheless, happy birthday to Miles G, a good friend and colleague of the show here. So it's great to we always welcome Miles G here. We love Miles G. Let's see here. Welcome Shidoshi. Good to see you.
Where is Nick? I miss Nick.
I see their sound gods. I can't read that one out loud. I just know it'll be contentious, but thanks for expressing yourself there. Nick's taking a couple nights off. With his girl, but I got to rotate you guys, so I don't wear either one of you guys out.
Well, makes sense.
You sound sad. I'll have you guys both on an episode soon. Okay, we'll do it that way.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
But I have to give Nick some nights off because it's a lot for any one person. I'm speaking from experience. Alan Schneider coming in again with the $2 super chat because Zombie did. Thank you, Alan Snyder. Oh, here we go. Josh Randell Disavows coming in with a $10 super chat. Steele is so handsome. I'm now 50% gay. Not this is anything wrong with that. Oh, man, that is so funny. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Comma to Luffy, $2 super chat. Alan and Zombie did it. So, comma to Luffy did it. Oh, yeah. Looking like a pretty colorful screen head here. Thank you guys so much for those chats. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's get to a fun story. Let's get to another one from the Babylon Bee, shall we? This one popped out at me today. And it was revealed 10 more things the government will be mandating this year. For those of you who aren't familiar, Babylon Bee is a parody magazine, so take this stuff as it is. It's joke news. It's parody news. Here's a list of mandates that the current president reportedly has planned this year. Number 1, for the entire month of October, all foods must be pumpkin spice flavored. Biden is a fan of pumpkin spice and thinks you should be too. Bring on the pumpkin spice hot dogs and pumpkin spice steak. That sounds absolutely horrid, doesn't it? Pumpkin spice steak. Though I'm sure somebody would be a fan. Number 2, during all other months of the year, all food must still be pumpkin spice flavor. That makes number 1 a lot more funny suddenly. Number 3. Everyone approached by the current president must allow him or herself to sniff without resistance. Are you familiar with the sniff? Are you familiar with our president's sniffing situation?
How many defects could one person seriously have? I was actually reading because I wanted to know how old he was. Because when I look at him, I don't even know how to imagine like what a 90-year-old should look like. But I imagine it looks like him, like nearing 100. And then I realized he was 78, which is, look, for someone to run a country, don't you think that's pretty old? Like,
well,
I think they should cut it off at about 65.
I'm trying to be diplomatic here, but I understand. I hear what you're saying. There's definitely some potential faculty questions in the air there. Yeah. Okay. Number 4.
He just looks like a really old, annoyed, like, granddad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for him at times because I can tell he's just really annoyed by annoyed by everything. Anyway, I'm going to continue this Babylon Bee article on the top 10 more things the government will be mandating this year. Number 4, single women who are plant moms must be given 10 months of maternity leave every time they buy a house plant. I like that one, actually. It's so dumb. What do you think?
Not bad.
Pretty good, yeah. Number 5, everyone must wear socks and with sandals. Doing so is an important sign of submission to your rulers. Besides, if everyone is doing it, it's not weird, right? Have you ever been a socks and sandals wearer, Sadaf?
No, but I am a socks and slipper wearer.
Oh, the socks with the slipper.
But yeah, like in winter, you constantly have socks. Well, I do. I constantly wear socks, and then if I need to go somewhere, I just put slippers on. But like they have to be slides, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. Have you ever been aware of the Croc?
No, but I heard that the Crocs are also known as contraception.
Yeah, they usually come in tandem with the cargo short. Number 6, Wednesday is Soylent Green Day. Be sure to eat your weekly nutritious food square. Number 7, every parent must disclose their favorite kid to the IRS, just in case the government needs to levy them. That's brutal. Number 8, ketchup on pizza. According to the current president, this is the only way to eat pizza. Pineapple will also be required. Gross. Ketchup and pineapples. 9. All cats must wear masks, not because it protects them or anything. It's just that they do funny things when you put a mask on them. So it's also mandated. And the number 10 of 10 more things the government will be mandating this year is all children's books must be written by avowed communists. That means no Harry Potter, no Bible, or no Tuttle Twins. Sorry, kids. Okay. That was decently funny. I wouldn't say these were all total knee slappers, but it was moderately funny material there. Let's see what's going on in the chat. And box of kangaroos. A lot of people talking about Crocs now. Some people think they're a Croc. You know, you can get custom Crocs now, all different assortment of colors, in patterns. To me, I've never owned a pair of Crocs, but I do like the idea of slip-ons. For me, that has been Vans shoes, like the slip-on Vans. Those are nice and convenient and stylish. I remember for a while, remember Toms? Everyone was wearing Toms. Did you ever own a pair of Toms, Sadaf?
Yes, I had a pair.
Yeah, they're pretty comfy, kind of like ninja shoes. You buy a pair, then a pair gets donated to like starving children or something, right?
Yeah, right.
You didn't buy that?
I don't buy any of these things.
So you think the whole Tom template was probably a sham?
Yeah, I think psychologically it's great to get people to buy stuff. So,
Josh, that's funny. I love that you don't believe that. I mean, you could be right. I just think it's funny. Josh Rendell disavows coming in with a $10 super chat. You guys realize that I say stupid crap out of love and respect, right? I'm not. I'm complimenting, not actually flirting. Josh, no explanation needed, man. Listen, you're such an ardent supporter of the show. You can super chat whatever wacky stuff you like. Honestly, it's cool with me, man. Just as long as it's not like super blatantly over the top disrespectful, it's fine, Josh. No explanation needed, but nevertheless, thank you for the additional super chat. Appreciate it. Speaking of, why is pizza on my mind? Were we just covering pizza, or was I? Oh, I have another tab open. You have another tab open.
Yeah, you were speaking about pineapples and tomato.
Okay, that's why it's on my mind. So, speaking of pizza, firstly, Sadaf, are you a big fan of pizza? If so, what sort? What sort flips Sadaf's switch?
You know, I'm actually not a big fan of pizza, but if I had to, I generally just get, like, I like the lot on it, and I like chili on it. I'm not a fan of only cheese, and I remember when I went to the States to see family, like, when they were like, oh, let's order pizza, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, like, what flavors do you guys have? And they're like, no, we just get cheese pizza with some dipping sauce that was really popular. And I was like, that's so boring. Like, I like heaps of stuff on it when I do have it. But the peri peri chicken ones are really nice here.
The what ones?
Peri peri chicken.
Sounds interesting. Peri peri chicken pizza?
Yeah, and then it, like, obviously it's like a chili style chicken, and then there's like, it's dumped with like all this peri, like mayonnaise, like the sauce.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't like things that are dry because I find it hard to, I find that you need to work so hard to break that down in order for it to go down easy, like swallowing it. So I generally just don't like cakes as well. You know, people like, you know, your standard like sponge cake, and I find like I choke on that. It needs to be like full of cream.
Yeah, I am the same way. I hate dry pastries, dry anything.
Yeah.
Even same way with my pizza. So my pizza, and I love pizza, but I'm also very specific about the kind of pizza I love. What you described actually sounds quite tasty, and I've never had it.
Yeah.
Now I make pizza at home, and it has to be right now. When I make pizza, it has to be all like sorts of restricted because of the protocol my doctor has me on. So it has to be gluten free. It has to be dairy free. It definitely has to be dairy free because of my sinus issues. But there's actually a surprising amount of decently tasting dairy free shredded cheese alternatives now. I wouldn't say it's as good as cheese, but it's like it's good enough where it used to not be good enough, where now it's like, yeah, this will do. This is fine. You know? Anyway, you're skeptical, I know, but I like...
No, I live through the same thing. Like, I'm meant to be on a low FODMAP diet. It's just so hard to stick to. Like, the things that I'm allergic to are like lactose and I can't have garlic, onions, tomato, but they're all the things that I like. It's just not the way to live.
Yeah, for me, I'm severely lactose intolerant, and it affects me severely. I mean, it affects my health greatly, so I just can't do it. But the dairy-free alternatives that are out there right now are pretty phenomenal. So, and someone's saying, can you talk about Safemoon? Sure, we'll talk about Safemoon right after we're done talking about pizza. I think there's a lot of developments there today, so we can get into it. So my favorite kind of pizza is this, guys. I like a nice, fresh, thin crust, thin and crispy, right? Thin and crispy is the key. And in fact, I've just made one night before last. And then what I take is some full-bodied olive oil and some freshly diced garlic and a bit of sea salt. And I mix that all together. And that's the first thing I put on the thin crust, right? And then after that, then I put on a fresh, semi-chunky marinara sauce with just like, not complicated, just like 3 ingredients in the marinara. Like the tomato, a bit of, chopped parsley, parsley, and some sea salt and maybe another spice in there. And then I ladle that on generously over the garlic infused olive oil. And I put on extra sauce and that olive oil because, like you said, I don't like dry pizza. So then after that, I like both sausage and pepperoni on my pizza. And then I like pretty much every vegetable. So I'll put on fresh onion, usually bell green pepper, and fresh sliced tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. And usually that's it. And then I'll sprinkle dairy-free cheese on top of that and put it in the oven. And then you need to cook it a while because now you're dealing with the tricky balance of you need a hard, thin crust with all those toppings and sauce on top, right? So that requires a particular kind of cooking, and you have to let it ride for a while in order to achieve that. But when you do, I'll tell you what, it is out of this world. Out of this world. All right, Safemoon. Today, huge news. The COO and the chief developer for Safemoon both quit this week. And they're parting statements basically out of just total exhaustion, frustration, kind of disarray, not even really knowing how to proceed with the project is kind of what I took away from it. I think Safemoon's in big trouble. This is difficult for me to talk about because I've received a lot of hate in the past from the Safemoon community anytime I've been critical of it. And I don't want to re-engage in that way. And I know there's probably a few Safemoon investors in here now. I'm not trying to stir FUD, okay? I'm just reporting literal news that happened. But I've always felt that Safemoon was a poor long-term investment. And I base that off of a lot of the wallet behavior that I saw, where there'd be 7-digit withdrawal and deposits to just a few select developer wallets every 7 to 10 days. And every time they would do this sort of thing, it would affect the Safemoon market value to the point of like decreasing it 5 to 7% consistently. So between that and the tokenomic system they have in place, I don't see how anyone could, unless you got in really, really early, then those people are doing fine. But other than that, I don't see how anyone could get ahead with that kind of operation. Furthermore, it always kind of raised a red flag to me anytime you name something that's nothing is safe in cryptocurrency. Nothing's safe, let alone a safe path to the moon. You're basically ensuring in the name that it's risk-free, which I think is kind of a disingenuous way of marketing and packaging a cryptocurrency. And I never got a strong sense of capable leadership vibe from the CEO, John. Though I will say he seems very determined and he seems very hardworking, but he just never struck me as a guy that had enough savvy and smarts to really pull off the things effectively that he was trying to do. Do you have any thoughts on this, Sadaf?
Look, nothing is without risk. It's really sad that there are people that, like we spoke about it yesterday, that were so passionate about this, and obviously this is going to cause a lot of panic amongst the community. But I mean, have they publicly come out with the announcement? Because that's like that would be a good sign if they've publicly come out with the announcement. Then I trust that they'd come out with the announcement to replace the people who have left, and that kind of instills some security. But if it's just all hearsay and people are freaking out, I don't know, this is like a really professional rug pull.
So you think this is a sort of nuanced rug pull?
Well, I'm saying if it's all hearsay and people are just, they haven't publicly announced it and they're here, and people have found out through other sources, and it's all, then like that's not a good thing. Like the two key people right now aren't there. That's not good at all. Yeah,
and he said he's going to be looking for replacements, but it'll be interesting to see if that's true or not, or if they're going to keep leaving by one and then just exit. I think that's a fair probability too.
Yeah, it's really sad. I'm telling you that the community, they're so passionate.
Yeah, that was the thing that I kind of viewed. Now, I will say, to my dismay, that since I took so much heat from the Safemoon community, I mean, in the past, it's not there anymore because the community is kind of in disarray now because of what's going on. But there was a time, anytime I mentioned or tweeted somewhat disparagingly or questionably about Safemoon, I would get attacked viciously. I mean, viciously. By hordes of people. I'd make the Safemoon Discord server, they'd deploy all the people to me and all sorts of hateful messages. I will say, though, that since then, unfortunately, I've noticed some of the same or similar types of behaviors within certain sectors and segments of the Doge community. And I just find this kind of behavior absolutely repulsive. And I will say that, fortunately, within the Doge community, it's a minority, and it needs to stay that way. But it's a very obnoxious minority that hopefully will continually be left in the dust, and we can move on to bigger and better things, and they won't get so much attention. I do think ultimately that's what's going to happen with Dogecoin, but I was seeing a lot of the same parallels with kind of the fanatical, just over the top hatred for anything that's not 100% on board with your perspective, your outlook on what you think a good investment or not is. So I really think a lot of the toxicity that became so prevalent throughout the Safemoon community really played a decent role in ending up where it is now. Of course, you can't take away the effect that those regular huge deposits had, withdrawals had, to those few dev wallets time and time again. So it's kind of a multi-pronged thing, but it's also a good learning lesson for us, guys. It's a good learning lesson. Fortunately, the fundamentals and the template of something like a Safemoon and Dogecoin are apples to oranges. But at the same token, we don't want to become a rabid community of fanatics. That's not the way you attract new investors. That's not the way you endear people to your project, to your community. You want to be easygoing. You want to be fluid. You want to be welcoming. You want to be fun. You want to be funny. You want to be charming. And you want to be smart. Okay? What you don't want to be, you don't want to be like Children of the Corn. Okay? You don't want to be just turn into a super crazed fanatic that screams and yells at people whenever they may have a minor disagreement in investment decisions. So I think I'm kind of singing to the choir, preaching the choir here as far as this community goes. I think everyone here is pretty groovy. And I say this as someone obviously who's extremely bullish. It's Dogecoin. I love Dogecoin, and I love overall. I really love the community and all my involvement in it. But it's just important that we keep it lighthearted and fun at the same time. Is what I'm saying, guys. So I don't know if you have anything more to add to that, Sadaf.
No, I think it's best to just leave it there. But yeah, I really hope people could start just embracing, like, coexisting peacefully. We don't all have to be in each other's projects. We don't all have to agree with each other's opinions, but I think it's important to just coexist in peace.
Yeah. I agree with that. Well, let me see. I'm kind of at the bottom of my notes and my news, guys. So if you have any questions for Sadaf or myself, I'll hang out for a few more minutes just to kind of feel it out, to see if you guys have any of that in the chat. And let's see here. Today is Friday night. Now I had just booked, let me bring it up here, my correspondence, see if I have a specific date. So Tuesday night is going to be, I'm going to have Chris Cruz on. And Chris Cruz is the media producer for Blaze TV, if you guys have heard of Blaze TV. And he's a big Tesla investor and Dogecoin investor and Bitcoin, Dogecoin investor and Bitcoin investor. And he loves all three of those particularly. So we're going to have him on the show, and I think it'll be just fun, interesting conversation. Somebody in the position of media producer over there, and how he got into everything. And so that'll be cool. Josh Rendell disavows coming to the $10 super chat. If Sadaf was single and I was better looking, her type, dangerous and rich, do you think she'd go out with me, Steven Steele? If you were see, there's no right answer for me. If I say yes, that'd be a big insult to you, Josh. If I say no, then your dreams will be crushed. So you've really put me in a precarious position asking that question. If I mean this, I don't know, Josh. I don't know, dude. It's a really funny question though. But if she was single, I will say this: then at least it'd be a possibility. So how about that? Let's
to have my child, like Josh.
Mr. Mom.
There's a good question here. My top 5 coin picks.
Yep.
Okay, so I am always adding to my Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I won't include that because that's just something that I hope everyone's doing long term. But obviously, no surprise with TEL being one of them. VRA being one of them. I think Voyager is really strong.
What is?
That people have their opinion on that. But I think it's strong. And if we're talking about long term, let me just bring up my portfolio.
Sure. MD Hewitt coming up with a $2 super chat, dropping in to say, hey, hope you're well. Thank you, MD Hewitt. Great to see you in the mix.
H-bar, I think, is extremely strong.
Yeah, H-bar.
Yeah. And you know what? For the sake of this community, the 5th one can be Doge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much for the honorary mention. Sadaf. Don't worry, we'll get your Dogecoin up. Speaking of which, I think I got your Doge addressed. You got the little bit of Doge I sent you yesterday, didn't you? Just a little bit there.
Yes, that was very nice. Thank you.
It wasn't that nice. It wasn't that much. It's all I had in the wallet, my trust wallet that doesn't compromise my actual strong positions in Doge, but I'm going to sort you out a bit more. Speaking of which, I am going to put Sadaf's Doge wallet in the chat. If anyone wants to throw some Doge, I want to see Sadaf get on the Doge train a bit more, get her a bit more invested, and then we can kind of lure her further into the realms of and the ways of dog money. How about it, guys? So if you want to just throw even just a little bit, you can do so. I'm going to put Sadaf's Doge wallet address in the chat.
We were speaking about Jackson earlier, and like my entire opinion that, and we spoke about this I think on our first show, but it's like a cross between FUD and I think him just being really bitter about not being in it. But I wonder if, because I know that the community set up wallets for him and for Billy, and they were donating. I wonder if he got any. Like, I was always curious to know if he could be lured in.
Oh, Jackson Palmer at this stage? I don't think so, because let me look it up. Let me look something up. Because this will be totally relevant to the topic at hand. So let me see here. So I was looking up Jackson Palmer's net worth. It's nowhere to be found, but there's enough to go on that he's pretty well off. So I think that someone in his position, and I'm trying to be, I really need to be diplomatic here, because I really don't intend to speak disparagingly of him at all. Let me be very clear about that. But I also can't help but notice a certain element of cognitive dissonance in terms of being ferociously anti-crypto after you've already made all your big money, in part from crypto, right? So.
Oh, right. So he did his money from crypto. In part. So it's easy to say, now I'm out, right? Now it sucks after I've made my bags where I'm pretty comfortable, right? Well, what about the rest of us? So that's kind of just something that kind of
I just think it's an interesting observation. Alan, thank you. I got your Twitter DMs. There's a lot there for me to digest. So I will be covering all that on tomorrow's show, okay? Because there's just it's a lot for me to digest and think about. But thank you for sending that information, Alan. I'll be bringing it up in tomorrow's show. Let's see. Did you know that Air Bud is actually Doge's older brother? Air Bud, oh, that movie. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Dedicated my first Texas toast to Steven the Steele. Thank you, Shadoshi. Appreciate that. Yeah, autocorrect can really be responsible for some interesting things, interesting results. Well, guys, my throat is raw. It's raw. It needs a break. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in, and to both Sadaf and I. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you got something out of it. And yeah. Oh, the story I didn't get to, I just realized I'm looking at that thumbnail here, is Dojax. So this is my last story. Dojax, the NFT Doge-centric project I am involved with, had some great news. The project's just 3 days old, and already one of the Dojax NFTs sold for over 30K, almost about 35K, a little over 10 Ethereum. So that is remarkable, considering this project's just about 3 days old. The minting is about halfway down right now, and it's going down every hour on the hour. So when these sell out, that's when the real fun begins. That's when the floor really raises on it. And I just had a meeting online today with one of the top developers of the project, and he shared with me so many really innovative plans that are going to be announced soon that I wasn't even aware of until this evening. And so there's just so much planned, even more than I anticipated. And a lot of it's going to involve a metaverse of bridging Doge and Ethereum in a bunch of different ways. And so I'll be excited to share all that with you guys going forward. So of course, I'm trying to get more people on the Dojax train because I'm having a blast, and the community and the Discord over there is a blast. And I think there's some great opportunities here. And I'm just really excited about it. It's a really, really fun, really exciting project, and the team is super hardworking and ambitious, and super about the Doge community and bridging Ethereum and Doge in as many ways possible. So anyway, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Sadaf. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Yes. Do you have any parting words, Miss Jadran?
No, love you guys. Thank you for having me. And hang tight. Don't be worried about the market. Hang tight.
All right, very good. This is Steven Steele and Sadaf Jadran. Until next time, signing off.
We operate with extreme urgency, then we have a chance of making life multiplanetary. Still just a chance, not for sure. If we don't act with extreme urgency, that chance is probably zero. And the rate of innovation is not going to be constant. It's either going to increase the rate of innovation, or it's going to slow down. If you look at American access to space with Crew, we were able to go to the moon in '69. Then with the space shuttle, we could only go to low Earth orbit. And the space shuttle retired. And then for almost a decade, there was America had no access to space for its people. So this is a pretty bad trend. It's trending to zero.
Right.
We need a very strong trend in the other direction in order to have any chance whatsoever of making life multiplanetary.
Yep.
So that's the reason for the extreme sense of urgency.
multiplanetary. To answer more seriously, if you consider the nature of importance itself and say, how do you tell that anything is important? Well, the lens of history is a helpful guide here. And the more you zoom out, the more you can distinguish the things that are important over a great span of time, the truly important things, versus the things that may seem important in the moment but are forgotten once that moment has passed.